Hangout on air is live. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So my name's Alice, and I work at the Imagination Foundation. Today we are talking to three amazing KIPP school leaders from around the country. For those of you who don't know, KIPP is let me get this right. I looked it up, so I don't want to mess this up. KIPP stands for Knowledge is Power Program, and it's a nationwide network of free open enrollment college prep schools in under-resourced communities throughout the U.S. And it's the nation's largest network of charter schools, and was started by two TFA grads, Teach for America grads, Dave Levin and Mike Feinberg in Houston. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, let's start with just giving you a chance to introduce yourselves. Mara, your face is actually being cut off a little bit, so I don't know if you want to shift your monitor.
Is that better?
Yes. Perfect. Okay. Yes. Mara, since you're in LA, down the street, maybe you want to go first.
Okay. My name is Mara Bond. I'm the founding school leader of KIPP Iluminar Academy in East Los Angeles.
All right, Jenna?
Hi, I'm Jenna Molinski. I'm the principal of KIPP Memphis Academy Elementary. We opened last year with 94 fabulous kindergartners and have grown this year to K and First.
All right, congrats. And Wheda?
Yes, hello, I'm Wheda Carletos. I'm the very proud principal of KIPP Vision Primary School. We are located on the southeast side of Atlanta. We also started last year with 115 scholars. We've now grown to 228, adding kinder and first.
All right, so we got some new schools. And then Mara, you said you started yours in what year?
I started mine, we started KIPP Iluminar Academy in 2013 with kindergarten and first grade, bringing it to 224 students, and we are now expanding to kindergarten through second grade with 336 students.
Wow, so you're the elder stateswoman by 1 year about.
I just have more kids. This is only my second year in this gig, but yeah.
Well, so I know that there's, a variety of people watching that are tuning in for different reasons, but I know that everybody would be fascinated to know kind of how you started out as an educator and then how you reached this point. And, I know that might span many, many years, so feel free to condense, but we'd love to hear a little bit more about just your trajectory as an educator. How about Wheda?
How about I knew you were going to go to me first? That's okay. My journey into education, I guess, is a little different because I'm a career changer. I actually started out in public health for about 15 years and went through an alternative certification program. My first year of teaching was in the city of Atlanta. I taught kindergarten. I was with a traditional public school for 6 years before I found KIPP, and I found KIPP as a mom. I was looking for, just looking for something different for my own daughter, and when I found KIPP, I left my job and said that I have to go and join this movement. I don't know that they have a job for me, but I need to be a part of whatever it is they're doing. So I left and started working at KIPP Ways as a 5th grade nonfiction teacher, and stayed there, and then worked for KIPP Metro Atlanta as the curriculum specialist for the region, and then had an opportunity to come back into the school as a dean for the middle school, KIPP Vision Academy. And when this opportunity to open the primary school presented itself, I jumped at it because primary school has always been my first love.
Wow. Who wants to follow that? Oh, I said I'd choose. Okay, Jenna.
So I'm from Memphis, grew up here, love this city. I went to LSU, graduated actually in medicine, but found Teach for America, and so ended up starting my teaching career in New York City, teaching second grade, and had planned to just do it for 2 years. So came back home to Memphis until I got into school. And really just saw the work that still needed to be done here, as well as the potential in the city, the potential, in our kids, and really I felt like my work in education was not done. So decided to start teaching. I taught kindergarten and then 4th grade at a charter school here, and then moved to KIPP. Actually wanted to start a school in North Memphis before I found KIPP. I really believe in just getting every single child to and through college, which is exactly what KIPP believes. So it was a great match. Started teaching 5th grade reading at our middle school here for 2 years, and then opened KIPP Memphis Academy Elementary 2 years later.
All right, and Mara?
Well, I guess in many ways my journey with education started in me growing up in Los Angeles, and I can remember a teacher that changed my life when I was in high school. And so I think about that every day, that I'm a principal here at KIPP Iluminar Academy, and that's part of why I went into education in the first place. I got the opportunity to go to a great school where everybody knew your name and that celebrated the arts for high school. So after college, I did join Teach for America in Houston, Texas, and then came back to my home because I love Los Angeles very much. And I worked in a variety of schools. I was actually a teacher's assistant at UCLA Lab School, and then I worked at a private school in Koreatown, and then I found KIPP in 2008, and was part of a founding team at KIPP Raíces Academy in East LA, and learned a lot about KIPP and what high expectations can do for children, and was utterly inspired to then open my own school, KIPP Iluminar Academy, and here we are. I'm now a principal.
You know, I used to want to be a teacher, and then I went and took education classes in college and was so bored. I have to say it turned me off to the teaching profession, and it was such a shame because it was really just that I didn't have that great education teachers, that they weren't really practicing the teaching that I wanted to do. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. This is not about me. What I would like to know is sort of, you know, to go from being a teacher to being a principal, that's a pretty big leap. And I'm wondering, were you thinking about it a lot before you decided to take that leap? Or, you know, what was some of the decision-making process? And, you know, were there any fears involved, apprehension, or just plain excitement? Anybody want to take this one? Oh, I'm supposed to choose. Jenna?
Yes. So it's funny because, you know, what I'd planned to do is so different. You know, I never planned to go into education to begin with, yet alone start a school. So it's really different. And I guess I'd say, like, what kind of, you know, like really inspired me to start KMA, we call it for short. The reason to start KMA is I grew up here in Memphis, and 7, you know, miles away, our kids are getting a very different education from the education I received, and I wanted to change that because I know our kids deserve more, and so that was what really inspired me to, like, start an excellent school in North Memphis that serves every child. And so that kind of is, I guess, what kind of got me into it. And I'd also say that I still see myself every day as a teacher as well. It's one of the most challenging professions, but also one of the most rewarding. Our teachers work so hard every day. And so I applaud them constantly of, like, the hard work they do for our kids. But I also very much see myself, I was in classrooms all day today, actually, you know, so I very much see myself, like, jumping in and teaching, modeling for teachers, building relationships with kids. Is still very much a part of everything I do, you know, every day. So
you get to choose the next, Jenna. I pass the conch to you to pass to somebody else.
So did I think a lot about being a principal, the jump from being a teacher to principal? I did. Did I have any fears? I don't know that I had fears, but I wanted to be very thoughtful because I knew it's a huge responsibility. Right now I have the responsibility of providing world-class instruction, and we say a 5-star experience at KVP for 228 scholars. I have families who walk through the door every day and they expect the best. They have entrusted me with their most prized possession, and it's something that I do not take lightly. So do I still think about my job every day? Is it still the largest responsibility that I will ever have? Absolutely. What I can say is that I believe that I am a teacher. Like I am. There is teacher running through my veins, but I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing leaders, and I know now in this space, in this time, that it was all to prepare me for what I'm doing now. Have the benefit of working with a principal in my early career who I just watched and I learned from. And then when I came to KIPP, I just came to serve. I wanted to teach. I wanted to do whatever they asked me to do. But I had the benefit of working with Mr. Jernigan, so I watched and I learned. And then when I became dean, all I wanted to do was serve and teach and support in any way, but I had the opportunity to work with Stephen Jones as his dean. And I worked and I worked and I watched and I learned, and at the same time I went back to school because I have issues and just like to be busy. So I went back and I got my so I just like to learn. I'm a geek with lip gloss. But I went back and I got my PhD in education and leadership because I just wanted to know. I wanted to know, and I wanted to increase my knowledge because I saw a need. I knew if the opportunity presented itself, I wanted to be ready. As Jenna mentioned here, same in Southeast Atlanta, our scholars were coming into our middle school 2, 3, 4 grades behind, and I knew that there was a need for quality education, and if that need presented itself, I wanted to be ready. So when the need and the opportunity presented itself, I jumped at it. Having had the experiences that I've had, I felt ready, but I'm sure the other 2 principals can tell you that you never know if you're ready until you're you're in the seat. But I did, and it's something I thought about it, to answer your question, and I think about it every day. I want to always think about whether or not I'm ready because it's a responsibility that I never want to take lightly. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Wonderfully.
Thank you.
Okay, so my turn. So going from, did I always want to be a principal? I always wanted to be a teacher, and a principal kind of happened because of my mentor at KIPP Raíces, Amber Young Medina, and it stems from the first day we welcomed our kindergartners into the building. But prior to coming to KIPP, the principals always just seemed to be buried behind piles of paper or on crazy phone calls, or just they weren't as connected to the kids. So I wasn't interested in that because the thing that makes this work fun are, of course, the children. And the first day of KIPP Raíces, Amber was greeting every single child by name at the front door, and then she was squealing and just so excited to come into classrooms. And she kind of opened my eyes to what the power of leadership based on love can really have on a school. So not only on the kids, but then the teachers and the families, and this very large ripple effect. So that intrigued me, but I still was absolutely terrified about the idea of me running a school, and I respected her very much. But she supported me and inspired me so much so that I did decide to apply for the Fisher Fellowship, and lo and behold, I ended up receiving it. Though in my heart, I am very much a teacher, and I am very nervous maybe most of the time because I do take this responsibility so seriously, because just as Wheda said, we are in the business of creating lives and inspiring lives, and young lives, and so that's very, very important. So the only way you can do it, though, is you have amazing teachers in your building, and then you have these beautiful young children in your building, and you all work together to make sure, I don't know, just that it's a very fun place to come to every single day. So I guess every morning that I come in, seeing those kids walk in every morning very early at 7:30, I can't help but be inspired to continue to do the work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it helps to actually get that, feedback every single day. When a face is great, person is great feedback. Don't quote me on that. That sounds stupid. I got a chance to see Mara at her school, and it was really, really moving. And I also got to see your 5 core values put up very visibly in your, I think, was that the office or the staff lounge? I wasn't sure where we were.
It's in everything room. I don't have an office. There's no office.
I was in the everything room, and I got to see that. And even love when you were talking about your mentor. I'd love to hear about, from each of you, how you chose what values to focus your school on and build your school around, because that really fascinated me. I'd never heard of that before, and I know you have some latitude with that in finding something that's personal and relevant. So, oh, you. That would be Wheda.
Hello, sorry. So how did I choose my values? So one of the pillars for KIPP as an organization is power to lead. And that's the beautiful thing. One of the beautiful things about KIPP is that everyone's school is just a direct reflection of who they are as people. And for me, the values that I've chosen for KIPP Vision Primary are love, teamwork, excellence, and honor. And those are values that I grew up with in my home. Both of my parents are immigrants from Monrovia, Liberia. We grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I'm the first person in my entire family to be born here in the States. So honor was something that was very important. You heard it every day, all of the time, to honor who you are and where you come from. So it's important here. I have 99% African American. It is important that these bold, beautiful, fierce, and fabulous scholars understand the rich heritage that runs through their veins and that they stand on the shoulders of amazing giants. So honor is huge. Love, that was something that you would hear also in my home about loving who you are and loving life and the love of learning. You would also hear about teamwork. My father would always say, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together. Coming from an African home, we understood that doing things together as a community was key. So here at KIPP Vision Primary School, our babies work together in all things. Our teachers work together in all things. And then last but certainly not least, you can stop a scholar in the hall any day and ask them, do we do good here? No, good is what other people do. Are we great here? We don't do great. What we do is excellence at all times. They understand to be young, to be African American here in the States, it is important that you are not just good, you are not just great, but that you are excellent at all times because you have a responsibility to yourself and to empower your community, and good and great just don't cut it. So we are excellent at all times, and these bold, beautiful, fierce, fabulous scholars wear those values with pride.
Wow. Let's just pause for a moment, because you should be a professional orator. This is so beautiful.
I love what I do.
Seriously. All right, Jenna, would you like to go next? Pillar time.
Sure. So very similar to Wheda in terms of the values that she chose, or the values that she grew up with, and I feel very similar to that. And so every morning our kids come in and we say, at KIPP Memphis Academy Elementary, we show love, honor, excellence, grit, and community. And so what this means is, in classes, our kids are learning to share, right? These small things that start in kindergarten. So you start hearing the language that they use of like, so-and-so showed love because they shared their crayon with me. And so love is throughout the building. You see tons of hugs, smiles, laughter. And so all of that is part of loving to learn, loving each other. Honor, doing the right thing even when no one is looking. So last year I would have kindergartners walk up to the building with trash in their hands from some of the trash that was on the street. because they were picking it up because they saw it on the ground and they wanted to make our school and our neighborhood a cleaner place. And so, wow, right? Like, what honor is that? And so I told them to throw it away and then wash their hands. But thank you. You are showing honor. And then excellence has to do with self-control, right? And being their best selves every day, focused on their learning, finishing their homework. And so that's a really key piece for us as well. Grit. They love grit. They love to talk about grit. You know, when it gets tough, especially from Memphis, the Grizzlies basketball, grit and grind. They hear it, you know, in the city, and so it's cool to bring back to our school of like, yep, when things get hard, like we don't give up. It's going to get really hard, but what do we do? What do we fall back on in those times? And so a really important value for us. And then our last one is community. And this is all about like each other, right? From like the school community to the our classroom community, school community, neighborhood community, city community, world. Like we do a lot around community, from like singing, you know, to senior citizens and a nursing home around the corner, to picking up trash around our neighborhood, to creating blankets for sick kids at Le Bonheur. Like we teach our kids what it means to serve and what it means to be a part of a community. And so that means if it's one of our teammates falls down and gets hurt, we help them up. And so those are kind of the values that I grew up with, and so the reason that I, you know, chose them for here at KMA. But I'd also say that a lot of KIPP has done a lot of work around the character strengths, and so we're really excited about like our values in kindergarten and first, and then moving more toward the character strengths as our kids get to second grade. And so I know Mara has done some work with that too this year, and so, you know, maybe she can talk more about that, but we're excited to kind of start transitioning that. So.
Okay. Mom, the buck has been passed to you, and I think you're supposed to partially speak on character strength training as well.
That's good. That's fine. We actually do call them, we don't even call them values at KIPP Iluminar. We call them character strengths, and they are love, grit, zest, self-control, and being a superhero, and curiosity, like that. And watching kindergartners try to figure that out is pretty funny. So why those character strengths? I think a lot of it has to do with how we view kids and like what is education really supposed to be about. So why even have character strengths in the first place? Why put them up in all the classrooms? Why make such a big fuss about it? And it's because part of our job as educators is to make sure that we're building good people for the rest of time, people that will help make our world a better place. And if we only focus on, let's say, the head and not the heart, then we're not going to get those great people. And I will talk on like briefly on each character strength. Love is all about making sure that you are empathetic. And so let's say if you walk into a classroom, something that we will celebrate is as our kindergartners are walking in line, like if a student is crying, the expectation is not that they're simply standing there silent, but that they actually put their hand around their friend. Because what do we want them to look like as adults? We want them to take care of someone that's hurting, so that they don't hurt as much anymore. And then grit, you never give up on anything and you keep going. Self-control is trying to keep control of your hands, your emotions, and that's a big challenge for little ones. And then zest is also huge. Wheda's on this call, which I'm very thankful for, because at one point I didn't even have zest in there. And I would say I'm very zesty, and I have a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and learning should be really fun. So zest and celebrating in classrooms is something that we celebrate. And then curiosity, of course, trying things in new ways. But the biggest thing is that with character strengths, it's making sure that we see our students and our children for the strengths that they offer. So oftentimes you might actually encounter a student, surprise, surprise, that struggles with self-control but is really zesty and really excited. And so what we often do in education is we see this child and we're like, you have no self-control, like, but we're missing the fact that this child has a tremendous amount of zest and also a tremendous amount of love. So let's say they're very loving to their peers. You can have a conversation with the child about like, hey, like, you can work on your self-control. I believe in you because I see that you have so much love for your friends and they need to learn. So you need, like, we're going to work on your self-control so you control, like, the words that come out of your mouth and you can raise your hand because other people need to speak to you because you love your friends and you have a lot of love in your heart. And so when you frame it like that, it changes the way you look at children. You don't look at them for deficits, but you look at them for their strengths. So that's kind of number one, why we say character strengths at KIPP Iluminar Academy, and then a little bit about why those 5.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask all of you, since you mentioned self-control, how do you make self-control to a kid that doesn't, you know, it's not as, I would say, you know, I think kids understand love. Thoughts? First.
The funny thing is the logo is a little marshmallow, but I've had students say that it looks like a diaper. I've had students say it looks like a funny thing. So the first thing you have to do is actually explain what that is. So we do a skit where we actually show them a bunch of marshmallows and actually act out the marshmallow experiment, because the idea is that if you can control yourself and wait, you actually get more out of, you know, maybe a situation, but in the end, life. And I mean, it's part of it is like this idea of the superheroes, breaking it down. Like, superheroes have a lot of self-control. They are very disciplined. That's how they become Superman or Batman, because they work out every day and they make sure they're really buff. But like, and then in application in classrooms, it's, you know, and then it's like, it's celebrating when they do show self-control. So you have to find those moments. So during writing, for example, if a student is typically going like this all over paper, but one day they like really were focused, you go, wow, you just showed so much self-control by making sure to like stay within the lines and like, and draw this beautiful picture. So that you have to find ways to make sure you celebrate it in application and in your language to make it real for them.
Mm-hmm. And do the other ladies want to add to this? I know your pillars, but I'm curious, because I'm sure that.
So for at KIPP Vision Primary School, we tell our scholars and our families that the road to college begins in kindergarten, and we have a 2-week period before the official school year starts where we do something that's called KIPPnatizing, and that's where we talk about the why. So we understand for our scholars it's about time and place, right? So you're going to control yourself here because we're going someplace, and where we're going to college, we're going to graduate school, and then we're going to change the world. In order to do that, you have to grow your brain. In order to grow your brain, you have to make really good choices. When we are growing our brain, it is about self-control. It is about controlling your body. It is about making positive choices that allow you to track the teacher, to pay attention, and to grow your brain. Are there opportunities throughout the day where you're wiggling and we're having a good time? We have enrichment. We have dance. We have theater. We have band. We have music. You can rock out until the cows come home, but when you are on that road to college, it is about making really good choices. One of the things that I also love about KIPP Vision Primary School, when you think about our teamwork value, we have something that's called village meetings every morning, and their teachers aren't holding scholars accountable. I'm not holding scholars accountable. Scholars are holding each other accountable. On any day, you can walk in and a scholar will raise a college-bound hand and say, I would like to give some shine to so-and-so, because on yesterday, he or she showed excellence by, and we shine them on, and we do silent excitement. Scholars also stand up, which just makes me smile. It's almost like testifying at church, and they will say, on yesterday, I had a difficult time doing this. Today, I'm going to make a better choice by doing this, and I'm asking the village to hold me accountable. And please believe that throughout the day, scholars are watching and they're supporting and they're shining each other on. You can do it because we believe you can do anything. So really it's about time and place and giving them a reason why, a purpose. And they do believe, bless their hearts, that they are going to college tomorrow. And in order to do it, they have to make really good choices today.
Mm-hmm. Jenna, did you want to add to this, or I have a second question that I would like?
No, go for it. They summed it up pretty well.
Okay. Well, so I think this is a good time to talk about, I know that KIPP, a big part of it is to and through college, and that's foundational to the philosophy and dictates a lot of how you, just how you've built your schools. And I'm curious how you explain to a kindergartner or first grader, how did you translate the importance of college, and also possibly to adults as the dialogue college starts to shift, I guess. In some places, people don't talk about college the same way. Any takers?
Yeah. So I'd say that, at the very beginning of the year when I talk to families about joining our school and sending their child there, I say, your child will graduate in 2030. They're the class of 2030. And they all start laughing. And they're like, Miss Molinski, this is so far away. And I tell them, you're right, it is. And it's going to go like this, right? It's going to go so super fast. So we have to start talking to our kids now about the expectation of like getting to and through college. Like that is what will happen. And so we need to start talking about that now. And the other thing, they really just kind of join in that. I'd also say that we have a college week. We talk about it every day, all the time. We talk about where they want to go to college, where the teachers went to college. They bring, college chants and cheers to Friday Value Celebration. We have like a big chant off every Friday. And so there's a lot of school spirit within each homeroom, because each homeroom is named after a university where one of our teachers went to school. And then during, college week, we actually go visit a university. Our kindergartners go right around the corner to, a university, and they get to see like what the campus is like and what the library's like, and they've heard about it all year about college, and like getting to see it was absolutely one of the most amazing experiences, like for me to watch and for them to like talk about constantly after. They get to go and sit in a classroom, so to really make that connection of like, here's the work you're going to be doing in college. So that means now in kindergarten, like we practice reading, like we silently read, not look around, right? Like we can't waste a second of learning because we're getting to and through college, and it starts now with our kindergartners. So I'd say that kind of like making that real life experience for them was something that like really helped our kids see what college is, as well as like different projects throughout that week of like they picked a university and they did this like project on a poster and did research on it. So really got to study their choice of any university they wanted to pick. And so it was a great experience for like families to work with their child on like researching about college, as well as the kid to like present to the team and family of what, their college, what the background was for it. So.
Mara, what about you?
I mean, to me, the thing that we're trying to do is change the dialogue and have a shift, because right now in the communities that we serve, when you go into a parking lot of a high school, if a kid is celebrating the fact that they're going to college, that's the shocking conversation. But if you were to go into a parking lot, let's say where I went to high school, Crossroads School in Santa Monica, I remember, I can even tell you the two kids that didn't go to college, like it was like this huge deal, and it was very like, it was out of the ordinary, it was very different. And so, like Jenna said, it starts in the beginning, and when I go to families' homes and do home visits, we say your child is graduating from college in the year 2031 or 2030 or 2029, and they do the same thing. It's part of the language. It's part of like it's making it an expectation, and so it's making sure basically at the end of the day we're making sure that every single student of ours has the choice to go to college at the end of their education. And nothing that, like, it's our job as educators to make sure we're giving them all the tools necessary to be successful individuals and have that choice. And right now our education system is failing many students because they are denied that choice because they're not meeting the standards to even get into a college. And so we want to make sure that our students are the top performers and they have lots of choices in front of them. And then, I mean, like, okay, take that down, 5 years old, 6 years old, like, I think, like, I call my students innovators because it's about making sure they're critical thinkers, so we play with that language, and every time we say it, we move our tassel from left to right. We do it every single morning, and I wear a college hat, and we talk about what that is. Same thing with the field trip. We take each year, our grade levels go to a college campus in Los Angeles, and it's one of the best field trips that we do. It's really fun, and it's just, and it's a constant dialogue. It's playful in elementary school, and I love it, and I'm excited to get phone calls in the year 2030, 2031, 2029 from all of the students letting me know that I'm invited to their college graduation, which I say at every parent orientation when I first meet them that they need to call me when that day comes.
Don't leave me out. Wheda, how about you?
So you asked the question about how do we approach parents, or how do we bring it down to primary school, and the first thing that I thought about is I grew up in the communities that Jenna is speaking about, where in the parking lot the conversation wasn't about college. So I definitely understand that, but what I also know is that you will not meet a parent that doesn't want something better for their scholar, right? Wherever you are, parents always are looking for something better. Even if they themselves did not go to college, they always want something better for their scholars. So what we try to do, and in shifting the dialogue, as Mara mentioned, college isn't an option. It's just what you do. So when you're talking to parents, oftentimes it's not about the are they going, it's about the how. It's about the access to resources. It's about the information, the knowledge gap that's there. So I always approach it knowing that, you know what, they want this for their scholars. It's my job, being someone who is here to serve, to show them how to get there. Same with the scholars. It's not new. That's what you're supposed to do. You're going to college. Now it's the how, the when, and that we have to make sure all of my scholars know that they're not paying because they're getting full scholarships, which goes back to you need to control your body because nobody's going to pay for you if you're wiggling around.
You got to grow your brain. It's growing your brain.
So it really is, it's about making it the norm for the communities we serve, right? Making it just what we do. You get up in the morning, you put on shoes, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you go to graduate school. It's what we do. Now it's my job and KIPP Vision Primary's job to make sure that we are empowering our parents with information. Last year, our first year, and we'll do it every year, we had a workshop for our parents on how to start saving now. Because we're going to get you to and through, but if you can't pay, you're not going. So we work with the parents there. We have workshops with parents on how to research and how to sit across from someone who is talking to your scholar about college so that you can make the right choices. We do the same things. We wear college shirts. We have banners. Each homeroom is named after a college, but what we also recognize is that we have to walk alongside the parents to make sure that they can navigate that system as well. So we do both. We talk with the scholars and we make it very real for them. But here, one of our things that I like to hang my hat on is making sure that our relationships with our parents, we see them as partners. And if your scholar is going to go to and through, we have to make sure that you're prepared as well.
Right, it's great to hear. Oh, you're back. I was going to tell you that we lost your visual for a second, but you're back. So relieved. Well, what I wanted to ask, we have about 20 minutes left, so we can get into this. I would love to hear a little about how you sort of work with your staff, how you collaborate, what that looks like, because I know all of you, have all been teachers before, and now to move from, being a teacher to leading a staff of teachers, what does that look like? How do you do that?
Okay. Well, what does it look like? Number one, the biggest part of this job in terms of your staff is hiring. So you have to find the right people to work with. And then you also, another part of this job is knowing yourself. So every leader has a different style of working with others. So when I speak about how I work with others, it's because that's what's aligned to my heart and what feels right. So with staff, it's about me getting to know them as people and understanding why they do this work, what drives them, what is at their core. And then we have check-ins every single week where we talk and I'm observing them in their classrooms and we debrief those observations. And all along it's fun, it's great work, we're doing it together. And right now we had 3 weeks of professional development together where we have been intensively studying and working together and learning and collaborating and just talking in a very real way about our work. And that's been extremely, extremely powerful. So that's something very special about KIPP. Before the kids even get here, we have weeks of professional development together because we value that collaboration so much and this planning piece to what makes an excellent education for our students. So our teachers have been working collaboratively in groups and making sure that their lesson plans are extremely specific and well planned, and also setting up their classrooms in a very, very fun way, which is actually where I am right now. I'm in a classroom right now. A teacher's being very kind, allowing me to be here. So yeah, I mean, like, I will say this, that I've learned, number one, that the biggest thing in this job is that, like, teachers are the magic. They're what make it happen, and you have to let them know that every single day. Because like I couldn't do this alone, and so I see my role more as a facilitator, as someone that kind of puts up the mirror and says, lets someone know this is what you're really amazing at, and the things that they might be working on, how can we leverage those strengths to help you work on those things that you're working to grow in. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about Jenna?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what Mara just said is like very similar to the way, you know, I coach and develop teachers here. I'd say that my number one like priority this past year, as well as going into this year, is coaching and developing our teachers. Because just like Mara said, they are the magic. They are the ones that get it done. You know, they're the ones in front of our kids every day. And so the way I spend my time, the way I support teachers, like all of that is aligned to this priority of how to continuously coach and develop them. That looks like, you know, check-ins, weekly check-ins, observation, feedback, videotaping them, and then debriefing after. It looks like co-teaching with them, you know, so that they can really see like the modeling, and then have them try it. I'd say that today is day 2 of year 2 for us. We just finished, and so we already had 2 weeks of summer, 2 weeks of PD with teachers, and then 2 weeks with kids, half days. So today was our second full day with kids, and it was really exciting. But I'd say that like one of the most exciting parts of the past 2 days, or even the 2 weeks with kids for half days, is to watch our returning staff. They are remarkable. To watch like where they were last year at this time, I literally sit in the back of the class like mouth open. Oh my goodness! I mean, just, you know, and I think a huge piece of that is like, 1, I prioritize it, and 2, I hired an incredibly reflective staff. They have a growth mindset. They want to get better. They want feedback, and so using that and like tweaking things for the next day to constantly get better is a huge piece of like the growth that our teachers have made. And so that's been really, really fun to see.
Yeah, it sounds. Oh, sorry about my hair. It sounds like the feedback. It sounds like the feedback cycle is really critical in your staff, and it sounds like, because I think video is scary, but when you know that it's just a document going on so that you can look at it and reflect on it later, I think it can be a really powerful tool. Yeah. Wheda? Sorry.
No, that's fine. You did really well for like 45 minutes. I've been it the whole time. Thank you. So the same things. We prioritize. One of our priorities is coaching and development. We have professional development weekly. We do the O3s. We do the modeling, the co-teaching. We do that. I guess the only other thing that I'll add in working with the staff, what I focused on last year and what I'm focusing on again this year. Last year our theme was making history. This year our theme is building on a legacy of excellence. So it's really important for me as the leader to have a clear vision. As Mara said, she manages to her style. One of the things that I know about me is that, and it's not a toot, it's just that in my couple of years of living, I've learned that I'm somewhat of an inspirational leader, right? So this speaking thing, it works for me, but I have to make sure that I know what I'm talking about because people listen. So my vision has to be super clear, and if I'm building this school of excellence, they have to see it the way I see it and feel it the way I feel it. A funny story, and then I'm done. It was a neat story. Last year, we all do our school design plan presentation, and I worked on making sure that it was just right. And after it was over, one of my teachers who is here with me this year, she said, "You know what? We're the Ritz-Carlton of education." And I said, "Yes, that's what we are." She has it. Like, she got it. That was my heart. It was about providing world-class instruction and a 5-star experience. She saw the service in my presentation. She saw my heart of excellence. From room to room to room, she saw the alignment. So it's about keeping that, and I'm learning this year, we're now in our second day of our third week. In order to build a legacy, a school that will stand even when I'm gone, my vision has to be so clear that even when I'm no longer here, the way we do KIPP Vision Primary School will stand the test of time. So that's where a lot of my focus is.
Wow. It's great that you talk about that, because I think it's it's not something that many of us get insight into. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sad that our time is running out, but there's two more things I wanted to touch on. And one is I wanted to give you a chance to share one favorite story from your time. I'm sure you have millions of stories, but one favorite story from your time at your school, whether it's with staff or with a student. Yeah, and then we'll close with maybe a little advice to people watching. Who would like to go first? Tennessee.
Okay. Oh my goodness, there's so many stories. There's so many good stories. I'll share this one because it was the most recent funny thing that happened. So our kindergartners, we work with them for, all last year, and they leave, and that's kind of how we remember our kids, of like where they left. And so then we get a whole new group of 4- and 5-year-olds. And so it was so fun to watch where our first graders are this year and where our kindergartners are coming in, and just the difference developmentally, just in the way they think and process things. But the other day I was leading a family meeting for our kindergarten, and I was really trying to stress the importance of our family back-to-school barbecue. And so I was, saying, okay, this Friday is the back-to-school barbecue. What's Friday? And they all say the back-to-school barbecue. And I'd say, what are you going to do when you get in the car? And we went over, like, as soon as you get in the car, you're going to tell your parents, Friday's the back-to-school barbecue. And so we went over this, like, multiple times. And so I said, what are you going to tell your mom when you get in the car, Amaya? And she said, that I'm going to Chuck E. Cheese.
Thank you.
And we were like, what? Chuck E. Cheese? No, no. Let's try it again. And then
Grit. Teaching you grit.
oh my goodness. She started going into after Chuck E. Cheese, then we're going to go to a water park. And I'm like, okay, so it's the back to school barbecue. It's just outside on the playground, you know, just outside on the playground. So we finally got there, but it was just such a funny moment for, like, you know, a reality of like where our kids and the imagination they have. And so we went through it, and our whole staff applauded when we heard her jump into the car that afternoon and say, Mom, the back to school barbecue is Friday. You know, so it was a funny, exciting moment for success with Amaya.
Do you have one, Wheda?
I have a quick one, I guess, because I've been sitting here thinking. So it's weekend. It's a weekend thing. First year after a week of hypnotizing our scholars and impressing upon them that they were going to college, I realized that I never told them when. I said the year, but to them 2030 seemed like tomorrow. So King McDowell, bless his bold, beautiful, amazing self, came in on a Friday in tears. I shake hands every morning, and his mom was like, just tell her, King, tell her why. He is in tears. Sweetheart, what is happening to you? I can't go to college tomorrow because I have a family reunion. In tears, because he thought that his entire class was going to college on Saturday and he would miss out. Made my day. Made my day.
That's good.
That's amazing.
Good.
Mara, last but not least.
It was very difficult. So many stories and so many moments in the world of a school. So I guess for me, a very special moment has to do with a student. There was a student named Robert. That's all I'm going to say. And he was in kindergarten, and for the first probably 6 weeks of school, it was kind of the same routine. Mom would try to walk him up to greet me, to say hello, but Robert was screaming and crying so much, he just couldn't. It was really hard to get him into the classroom and get him into the routine. And so I worked with a teacher, and we devised a plan, a little sticker chart, and if he could come into school and get into his seat and start the day, he would get a sticker. And then the first time he got the sticker, that meant 5 minutes with Miss Bond on the big kid playground. And so he got his first sticker, and we spent 5 minutes on the big kid playground, and it was great because we like bonded and had a lot of conversations. And then I was like, well, your next challenge is 5 stars. When you have 5 stars, then we get the 5 minutes again. And he did it. And next thing you know, if I like thinking about who he grew into, it's just he started skipping into school and hugging me, and were like so excited to come to school. And his parents wept because they were so grateful that, you know, their child ended up. He even talked about it before. Like he had a rough experience at a school prior to coming here, and he hated school, and now he loves coming to school, and he loves reading. And so that to me is kind of, I don't know, that's the story I could think of, because I don't know, I love that kid, and that transformation was really beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing that you can see, you know, the growth from when they come to your school till, you know, just over the course of the year, and what you get to observe is really magical sometimes. So sorry for ambushing you with and making you only tell one story, because I'm sure that, you know, we could just be around the campfire and talk for days. So we only have 5 minutes left, and I wanted to take these last minutes to just ask you if you have any advice for, I guess, anybody that's kind of thinking about going into the profession, anybody in education, any life advice, anything you want. This is sort of your pedestal, your time. Jenna?
I'm first.
Wait, that's not fair. I made Jenna go first last time. So, Wheda?
Yeah.
Advice, it is the most important job on the planet. You hold the lives of impressionable young people in your hands, so don't take it lightly. Parents should be your partners. Research says that scholars can go far with awesome instruction, but they can go even farther with community support. So embrace the community, and by parent, it could be a grandmother, an uncle, but just don't leave the community out, and just have fun. Like, teaching is hard, 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 hard work. Zest goes a long way, so just enjoy what you're doing.
Speaking of zest, Mara?
Okay. Advice. Well, okay. If you are planning to go into either teaching or even being a principal, don't ever lose sight of the fact that there are kids and people involved. So there are people come first. So as much as there's a mountain of items to do, don't get lost in like having to follow a strict agenda or guidelines. Remember to like open your eyes and actually see the person in front of you. And then in terms of as a teacher, like literally just open your eyes and look at them while you're teaching, because they are the most spectacular things. And I feel like when teachers lose sight of the beautiful children in front of them, that's when things get much more difficult. So when you're in those crazy moments, and I know it can be really stressful, just try to breathe and take a moment to enjoy the little ones in front of you.
And last but not least, Jenna.
Gosh, very similar, but I'd say, like, we have to keep the kids in mind. I'd say, you know, very similar advice of like, that's why I do this work is for the kids. It's why our team does this work. And it, you know, can be tricky sometimes to get sidetracked by different things, but having to keep the kids at the front of our mind in the decisions we make and how we act, what we say, all of those things are so critical to building our kids up and empowering them. And so constantly keeping that in mind with every interaction is really, really important. So, and have fun. Like Wheda said, it's such hard work. And have fun and be yourself. You know, be yourself. Like, find yourself in whatever role it is, whether it's in, you know, teaching or a principal or a coach or whatever. Like, who are you? And bringing that to the work is really, really important as well.
So good. Such great advice. I'm going to go back to this video and just try to soak it in just as a learner, because you guys just gave so much wisdom. I just want to thank you for taking this hour to share your experiences and your thoughts and your knowledge and your feelings. What do I want to say? Well, please just, we'll put up some links on the Google Hangout page so you can check out, learn more about KIPP. And if you want to share any resources that you think people should know about, please feel free to just throw it on the page. And I just want to thank you again, because you're really an inspiration. It's exciting to know that, you know, that kids' futures are in your hands, and that there's these I don't know, living, breathing, pulsing, passionate people that are behind this. So it's just great. Anyway, so say bye. And I'm going to hang up on the public, and then we're going to keep talking. See ya!